What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Young Legends Podcast, where we help you get the cheat codes to the game of life. I'm your host, Caption, aka Caption Red, and I have a very special holiday episode for y'all today. I am pumped about this. I want to equip you for the holiday season because it is right up on us. So I'm going to drop a bunch of knowledge from people who were also dropping knowledge. Now, there are people who know so much more than I do, and I am referencing the experts, and I am going to be a channel to bring you some good information. A bunch of this stuff is from an article from Jezebel magazine, and they have an online version. I'm going to tag the article in the show notes, and it's from an author named Anna North, and she interviewed a bunch of psychologists and experts about how to get along with your family and loved ones during the holidays. Now, I'm going to go over some of the points. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that's going to tell you that that's from them. And then I'm just going to add my own commentary. And also I'm going to reference an NPR podcast about surviving the holidays. I'll give credit when I get to that point. Now, this article was amazing. I highly recommend that you read it. I'll tag it in the show notes, and it's amazing. So, one of the things that the author says is when you have Thanksgiving guests, okay, you have a new guest, in order to make them feel comfortable, compliment his or her food that they brought to the meal. Now, compliments are king. Compliments are king. I mentioned that in the Dale Carnegie series that I went over, How to Win Friends and Influence People, but compliments are king. Dish out compliments. And I would even go as far to say, hey, like, this stuff is like crack. And then start making some jokes about smoking crack. And then just say, hey, I may end up having to steal from my family to buy your product, because everybody likes jokes about smoking crack. And if your family and friends and loved ones don't like jokes about smoking crack, maybe you need to find some new people. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kidding. But give them a compliment if it's good. If it's not good, don't say anything, because here's the deal. People can sniff out a fake compliment all day and night, and they're going to taste their own food. So if it's not good, then, just keep your mouth shut. Also, look for the silver lining. Maybe they overcooked the food. And then what you're going to say is something nice, like, hey, we're definitely not getting food poisoning from this because it is well done. I'm just kidding. Now, also, if they didn't bring food, then I would say something like, hey, I really like the food you brought. And they'll be like, oh, no, I didn't bring any food. And you're going to say under your breath, well, that was a mistake. Now, I'm totally kidding. But seriously, who goes to a holiday dinner as a guest and doesn't bring anything? Unless you're a minor, that is not okay. Number 2, ask questions. People who are not in your circle, whether they're guests or new family members, may feel uncomfortable talking about themselves. That's a direct quote from the article. So draw them out by asking questions about themselves. Now, you can ask them about school. You can ask them about their job. It's a good way to get people talking. That's what the article says. But make sure that, they have a job. And also make sure they don't have a weird job like a pet food taster. That's a real thing. Or maybe they don't go to school. What you got to do is you have to do your homework. Get some intel on these people who are coming through. Ask them about the hobbies they enjoy doing. Ask them about the favorite things that they like to do, the music that they like, their favorite holiday movie, their favorite family tradition or holiday memory. Allow people to talk about themselves, to brag on themselves. I like to ask the question, what's new, or what's the latest and greatest, when I see people I haven't seen in a while, which I guess you wouldn't say in this situation. But you ask people to talk about themselves, their preferences, so on and so forth, because preferences are like a belly button, because everyone has one, or in my case, 2. But anyways, all right. Also, when you're asking them about themselves, make sure you ask them what their ethnicity is. Better yet, make sure you guess it. Be like, hey, I think you're Indian. Oh, you're Caucasian? Oh, my bad. That's awkward. I'm just kidding. Don't ask people about their ethnicity. That's never the way to go. Let them talk about their ethnicity if they want to. Number 3. Now, if you have a family member who is a fault finder, who has a tendency to put you on blast, say stuff in front of the entire family, you can take them aside and have a heart-to-heart conversation with them. And I'm going to read this quote because this is really good. It says, "I'm not feeling very good about the holidays this year, and it seems like you're always looking at things that I'm not doing. Maybe this year you can focus on what I am doing, or just not even focus on me at all, because really it's a time when I'm wanting to be with people who love me and wanting to be in a nurturing, positive environment." Here's the thing about people and having that conversation with them. Always pull people aside, talk to them ahead of time, or at least pull them aside in private. This has happened to me in the past, not really with family members, but in the past, there was a time where I had some coworkers that were doing some things that I did not agree with at the work site. And it had to do with the way they treated some of the people there. And I was really upset about it. And I didn't want to make this big scene. So after I witnessed it, what I did is I went and talked to them individually. And I think that's really important. And I was very mature. I said, "Hey, look, I don't think what you're doing is right." I stood on the moral high ground, which is always a good place to stand. And I don't think that we should engage this way to people who work with us or are around. And I expected them to respond poorly. I really did. And they didn't. And that was really awesome. I've had to do this with a boss of mine in the past. He used to schedule me, like basically he would change my schedule and not tell me, and then I would be late. And it happened once, and I showed up and he wasn't there, and they're like, "You're late." And I was like, "Well, I didn't know my schedule was changed." Then it happened a second time and he was there. And so I just asked to speak to him in the back because I was working at the mall, and you don't want to do that in front of customers or coworkers. So I said, "Hey, can I talk to you in the back?" And he was really awesome, super dude. He was great. And I just said, "Hey, you know what? I don't mind you changing my schedule. I just need to know in advance in order to be here on time." And he was totally cool about it. He's like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry. My bad. I won't do it again." Now, if people are reasonable people, they will be pretty cool about it as long as you step to them correctly. And even if they're not reasonable people, sometimes they turn out and respond in the way that you want them to because of the fact that you step to them correctly. Okay, number 4. Also, if the person is someone that you're not that close to, that having that conversation would be awkward, you can ask one of your family members to talk to them on your behalf. And when you do that, I mean, they don't even have to say, "Hey, so-and-so asked me to talk to you." You could just ask them to go to bat for you and say, "Hey, do you mind talking to them about that thing that they do?" And just kind of like make it like you're sticking up for me. And, you know, if you have people who love you, then they'll go to bat for you. Also, if you don't have someone to go to bat for you, what you can do is you can send them maybe like an anonymous threat, a note with ransom letters on it, perhaps. I don't know. That seems to work to get people's money. So maybe it can get your dignity as well. These are jokes. All right. What were we on? Number 5. Okay. If being direct with people doesn't work, take yourself out of that area, out of that situation. Excuse yourself to go to the bathroom, go make a phone call, go help out in the kitchen. That way that person can't focus on you anymore. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can do this. And you can be direct and say, "Hey, I don't appreciate when you say things like that," or "Please don't do that," something along those lines. But the tricky thing that you're going to run into, and you can also let your face say it, but the tricky thing that you're going to run to is a power differential, right? Like you can't necessarily have a situation with one of your uncles or aunts where you're kind of like, "Look, stop doing that." I mean, you can, I guess, but you might not be able to. That might not be the look that you want. So maybe the best thing is to get out of that area. Maybe that's the best thing, right? Because what that has to deal with is that's power differential, and they have years of life on you, and it's tricky. It really is. Also, And also, if you come back and they continue to do the thing that bothers you, you might need to be firm. Or also, what you could do, you could pull out a voodoo doll and start stabbing it with a needle. And then when they don't writhe in pain, just look disappointed and then just drop it and walk away. Yeah, it's a recipe for success. But no, in all seriousness, maybe you need to have a conversation with somebody and just say, hey, be firm. Please don't do that. You got to feel the situation out. Every situation is different and you got to feel it out. All right. Number 6, if your family member wants to talk about politics, that is a thing that happens all the time, and particularly this year. You can just kind of cut them off and just smile at them and say, hey, let's not talk politics, and you can change the subject. And then also after that, you can ask them what's going on in their lives and allow them to talk about themselves and their family members and so on and so forth. I read this article before I went to Thanksgiving dinner this past year, and it was super helpful. The host of Thanksgiving is someone I love significantly. Her family, they're good people. They are really good people. And so last year she tried to talk politics and she did. And then this year she did again. And I just had to say, hey, look, I really don't like talking politics during family gatherings. And I said, hey, if I answer you honestly, you might not invite me back next year. And she is such a good person that she didn't push the issue. And she did say something like, we can agree to disagree. And she kind of said a little something else, but then it just it petered out because she was just like, oh, he really doesn't want to talk politics. All right, we're going to leave this alone. Now, changing the subject. Change the subject. Learn how to change the subject. Politicians do this all the time, and they're really good at changing the subject. So you can just say, hey, speaking of Donald Trump, what's your favorite font type? I'm a Comic Sans guy myself. Or you can say something like, speaking of presidents, have you seen the new kid president video? Do you know he's 15 years old now? He must be getting all the girls. That's crazy. Or if they're talking about a politician, you should say something like, hey, speaking of people, your kids are people, and you must be really proud of them. And then allow them to talk about their kids or other people that are important in their lives. You got to learn how to pivot, and you got to allow people to brag about themselves because people love to do that. That is one thing I know. I know more than one thing, but that's one thing I know. All right. The last one from the article goes like this. Don't expect things to be perfect, but focus on the things you can control, right? And that's an important thing, not just for the holidays, but that's an important thing for life. Focus on the things you can control. And the author goes on to state, hey, make an intention, a goal for the holiday. What do you want to do? For example, hey, I want to spend time talking to my uncle, my favorite uncle, or I want to spend time playing with my little cousins, something along those lines. But focus on something that you want to do and that feeds your soul, that makes you feel good. And that is the thing that will make your holiday good. So have a goal of what you want to accomplish. Boom, there you go. If you want to accomplish counting up your arm hairs, whatever, do it. But have a goal. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to the NPR Life Kit podcast, which I'm going to tag in the show notes. The host, her name is Julia Furlan, and she was interviewing a clinical psychologist named Dr. Andrea Bonyer. And Dr. Bonyer said, hey, remember who the people are that you do jive with and turn to them to converse with them. You don't have to have a conversation, like an equal conversation with everybody. You might need to just kind of catch up a little bit with each person and spend a lot of time with the people that you really jive with. So that's one thing she talked about. And then she also talked about allies. Find your allies and connect with them and make sure that they're around. Now, a friend of mine actually used this technique when visiting his cousins that just aren't really interested in his life. And those people do exist. And what he did last time is he tag teamed with his sister because she is like such a good person. She's super sweet and super kind, and he's good people too. But she just has this personality that just lights up a room and lights up a conversation. And as he talked to those cousins along with her, that made all the difference in the world, where it was bearable. Like, it wasn't the normal torturous situation that he usually encounters. Now, one last thing is, Dr. Bonyer said, have an escape plan, right? Have a plan where you can, say, oh, you know what? I'm so full. I need to go for a walk to walk off these calories. Go to the room where they're watching sports, where it's going to be quiet. Nobody's going to be there to bother you. During Christmas, it's basketball. Obviously, Thanksgiving, it's football. But go to that room. Make that your escape room. And also, she said something that what the previous article said, which is to advocate for yourself. And she said sometimes people, they do things because they don't realize it bothers you. And also, if you have a friend that you want to go see that night and it's appropriate for you to leave, it's not bad manners in the context of the situation, then you can go and say, hey, look, I have a friend that I'm going to go see now. We're going to go watch a movie or something like that. But don't make a fake story like your friend's an orphan or something like that. There's that. Okay, so the other thing is, in the worst case scenario, when I'm up against the ropes and I just really want to get out of a situation, what I always my go-to move is always diarrhea. Diarrhea, because diarrhea, man, I tell you what, nobody's going to argue with diarrhea. Oh my gosh, my stomach hurts. Oh, you reach back around your rear end, and then people are going to just leave you be. I have diarrhea. What do you want from me? I'm going to go to the bathroom now, and then I'm going to go hole up in a room. Diarrhea. It'll save you from any situation that you're in. Any situation. I don't care what the situation is. You can get out of that situation with the D train, baby. Capital D. The Hershey squirts. You know what I'm saying? Talking about the runs. Okay. So that's what I got from those two articles. I'm going to talk about a couple other things about the holidays. One thing that a recent guest told me, his name is Chris Rudin, by the way. In order to not overeat, make sure that you drink 8 to 16 ounces of water before you eat, 30 minutes before your meal. That way your stomach's kind of full and you don't eat as much. What else? Start planning for the new year. Start thinking about what's going to happen in 2020. Now, as I sit here and say that, understand that resolutions don't work, but visions do, as long as you're willing to do the work. So, what do you want for 2020? Everybody needs to have a vision for 2020. They also need to have a vision for their life in general. And I strongly recommend that you do that. Also, have a game plan for what you want to accomplish during the break. Put stuff on your Google Calendar. Make plans to hang out with people to do something positive. It's good to be on vacation. It's good to have a break and take a break. But also, a lot of people during the holidays, they fall off the wagon, and that is not the move. Oftentimes people, they'll eat too much. They'll just let their disciplines go away. And next thing you know, they've gained 5 or 10 pounds during the holidays. And what happens in the new year is what they want to do is to lose 10 pounds, but then they put on 5 or 10 pounds during the holidays. So they really got to lose 15 to 20 pounds. And if you don't need to lose weight, then that's perfectly fine. But if that is a goal of yours, make sure that you don't fall off the wagon. Also, morning exercise routine. There's so many great benefits to exercise that I'm not going to get into all of them. But you're on vacation, you can sleep in, and then you can work out after you sleep in. And that can start building the habit during the week or two that you have off. Also, manage your expectations, okay? Manage your expectations, whether it's the amount of money that you got for Christmas or the presents that you got or the travel that you got to do. Manage your expectations, because here's the deal. The holidays are not about what you get. I mean, that's a part of it. That's an element. But really what the holidays are about is they're about spending time with your loved ones, right? They're about the holiday spirit. They're about being cheerful. And honestly, I have a neighbor who has had a flat tire for 3 or 4 days. And I pull up to my house and I feel really bad because I'm just like, man, if I got a flat tire, I could just throw a spare on there and then go up to the tire shop and get it fixed same day, but apparently they're having some financial difficulties and they can't do that. And so think about all the people in the world that don't have what we have. Like, we are doing really well and life is good. And you have to just think about that. Okay. So manage your expectations. Don't get a lot of high expectations of what you're going to get. Just be a person who's about spreading holiday cheer. Okay. All right. Also, make sure that you get things for Christmas that benefit your life and make you better. Now, if you're getting money, obviously that's very easy to take the money and buy the things that you need that will make you better. But if you end up getting a present and you don't like it, as long as it's not something super personal that you shouldn't return, I think oftentimes family members ultimately want us to be happy. And so if what they bought you doesn't make you happy, I think it's okay to go and do that. But you know your family better than me, so you make a decision about that. But when I say buy things that will help you become better, think about this: an outfit, a video game, gadgets, shoes, a jacket. Like, unless you really need a jacket, like you don't have a jacket or your old jacket is all messed up or something along those lines, you don't need all of this stuff. But if you turn Christmas into a time where you get things that will help make you better, help you level up. For example, maybe you need some workout equipment. Maybe you're a musician and you need some musical equipment. Maybe you need some software if you make beats, or maybe an instrument would help, something along those lines. Take the money that you get and buy boxing classes, right? Buy classes that will make your life better. One of the guys that I interviewed recently, he started boxing when he was 18. And if he hadn't taken the money to go start boxing, guess what? He wouldn't have become an Olympic boxer. And that significantly changed his life, right? So you can buy classes, books. I love books. Books are my best friend because you take that knowledge and it's not like a physical possession that you lose. The knowledge goes in your head and now you know how to do something better and you have just something that's going to make your life so much better. Also, maybe even get something for Christmas that you can sell online, or use your Christmas money to buy something you can sell online. Maybe you could buy some bulk items to start your eBay business, but get things that are going to improve your life. I mean, a musical instrument can be your best friend in the future. You can just play it all the time. Think about how much that adds to your life versus an outfit. Also, make sure you save your money. Having money in the tank is super helpful for down the road when you get something or something comes across your path that you want to buy. You have money in the bank to buy that. And so save your money. Don't just burn through all your money. That's just ridiculous. Anyways, so those are my thoughts as far as that goes. Those are all the tips for surviving and thriving in the holidays. Some great information from that article and that podcast episode that I will link in the show notes. Make sure that you go and check both of those out. And I'm just going to wish you an amazing holiday season. Whatever it is you celebrate, just enjoy yourselves. Have an awesome New Year celebration. I'm going to link back up with you in the new year, and I have some episodes about the new year that are going to be really cool, solo episodes, interviews, and I'm just really pumped about them. So that's what's going on. But for now, what I'm going to say is take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.